Welcome to CREview, commercial real estate content reviews. I'm Dill, head of strategy at Atypical.
Cool, and I'm Josh. I'm a content creator.
And we're going to be doing a series of content reviews, so we hope you like it. Cheers. Sweating. This is hot. What was the temperature this morning? When we got out of
43.
the tent?
43 in the 43 inside
43
the outside the tent. Celsius.
128
Fahrenheit. Inside the tent, yeah.
No air conditioners out here in the gobi. Do you know where the gobi actually is?
Mm.
Do you?
Yeah, I would like you to
Where
tell
is
them
it?
though.
It's between
Sub-Saharan Africa. And,
no, it's not. No,
yeah.
it's in like the.
Do you know where the gobi is?
I read a book on it once. It's somewhere in like between India and Russia. Very controversial. Sorry, we're doing a content review series for commercial real estate. If you didn't know that, but of course you do because you watch all of our content already.
Yeah. We're on Spotify as well, by the way. If you guys have listened to us there.
Yeah, but you just can't see the content. So, okay, so it's hot, and we're going to talk about something slightly controversial today. We're doing something slightly different from just a normal content review today. We're going to talk a little bit about. We're going to do a slight audit on a very big company within commercial real estate. We may get a cease and desist letter for this content, so it might only be up for a very short amount of time. I'm not going to be too. I'm going to keep it quite general, but there are things that I think need to be discussed in terms of what companies post about, and whether they should be doing that or not.
Yeah,
so
that's often also like an issue for us. Like we think about like, do we get involved in this or not? So I think it's a good thing.
What did you ask me the other day?
So that's the thing with current issues,
and this is why we bring it up.
Yeah. So the question was like, should companies get involved or have their say in current issues and like political affairs?
So
topical.
So it was it's an interesting question because as a brand, you think you're the most important thing in the universe, right?
Yeah.
Every brand manager is like, we're the most important thing. We need to comment on these things. And if you look at it from our perspective as marketers, should we be speaking about, the example we're going to use today is the war in the Ukraine, which is a huge issue, obviously, and it's being publicized so widely through the media that brands almost feel like they have to say something about what's happening.
There's definitely pressure that's put on them.
Exactly, like there's pressure from CEOs and shareholders, etc., to say something. But should we, as brands that don't necessarily have anything to do with this issue, be talking about it? So the problem that I have with it is that if you aren't directly involved in the this war situation with Ukraine or Russia, should you actually be saying anything? Or if you start to post about it, and even if you put out a statement, it starts to look like you're kind of jumping on this bandwagon. And
also, where does that stop as well?
Exactly.
So on the one thing.
Exactly right. So you look at the comments on these posts. And it's like, okay, well, why don't you speak about this conflict in this area that's already, that's happened 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So once you start going down that road, where you actually end. So I understand that if you've got sweating, if you've got certain connections or ties to that country, such as Russia, and you and you're a property company and you have properties there and you have offices there, then I understand that there's something to be said, about that.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very delicate situation.
Yeah, that's the thing. You still have to go about it
but even, like what we saw with JLL, which we're going to speak about a little bit, is that they put out a statement and they used this word separate. And a lot of the comments were, what does that word separate mean? And no one at least on the LinkedIn post that I saw and the Instagram post, no one from JLL did not respond to anyone on that particular issue. And it feels very much like they have ties with Russia because they have investment there and they have certain properties. But they aren't saying we're cutting ties. They said separate. So a lot of people were asking, and I'm not getting involved. We're not getting involved with this, but we're asking the questions like, how far, what do you actually say as a company? And a lot of the people are saying, well, they're not saying they're cutting ties because once this conflict is over, then maybe everything will be okay.
Temporarily separating.
Exactly, right?
Maybe in like front of the camera, you're just kind of stepping out the shot, but then
it's slightly controversial.
Yeah.
So we're not going to go like too deeply into that. I don't know the inner workings of JLL, but we wanted to kind of talk about content in the space and what these really big corporates talk about and how they, and we'll bring up the Instagram feed here and we'll kind of just scroll through it. But a lot of what we see in this feed, and this is a very, very big company within commercial real estate, and they've got, 1.4 million followers on LinkedIn. So they've got a lot to say, but when I actually did an audit on them for one of our other clients, and a lot of, they've got really low engagement rates for a reason. And I think a lot of the fact is that it feels like these big corporates have absolutely no human beings behind them.
Yeah.
They speak in this very, very corporate jargon. They use these rhetorical questions. It's almost like they're being run by robots.
Yeah.
And that's the way it feels.
Yeah, and it feels that way also because that's what you're seeing. And
exactly.
There's no human aspect to anything. There's nothing like tangible.
Exactly.
It all seems like done up and fake.
Yeah. And I mean, go through the Instagram page and just like have a look. And it's just kind of, it doesn't feel real. It feels like it's been posted in it's written in this like very perfect advertising jargon.
Yeah.
And that's great for your company website or your reports and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But social media needs to be social. And that's why we're kind of doing the series, right?
Yeah.
It's like, we want you to be more human.
Yeah.
And
the funny thing with that is it's also like what they're doing with that is like putting in all this effort that's almost like counterproductive. And it's like, it's easier to be like more human. It takes less effort, less time.
Just be yourself. Like the person that's writing the content. I mean, it's very difficult because you're getting a lot of, there's like, we need to talk about these things.
And there's brand guidelines that you have to follow.
And there's all these things. So it's almost impossible for these people to do that unless they do like a full overhaul. But, they talk about all the right things. They talk about sustainability and women in the workspace and mental health. And they talk about all of these very trending topics, which that's really good, but it just doesn't feel like it's real. That's the feeling I got. It's like important to talk about those things, but they're saying all the right things that they believe everyone wants to hear. And it's great for the shareholders because, that's what everyone wants to hear. But it's like, I don't believe it, and it's just, it's something that's important. It's a very serious topic, and I'm happy that we're speaking about it in such a very hot climate.
Yeah, I know.
Because
you're becoming a bit hot-headed, would you say?
I'm feeling hot-headed, and
it's a hot topic.
It is.
But also, if you had to think back to like the last review we did, how that seems so like transparent and like real and
exactly.
And it just lacks that aspect 100%.
Definitely. So we're not having a go at JLL. Like it's all these big corporate brands are like that because they have to be like that. Like they have to jump through all the hoops.
They are rigid and like there's
exactly.
no sort of
you make one mistake as one of those huge corporate companies and you're in a hell of a lot of shit.
Yeah.
We get it, but we're like it sucks. And like I urge all of these massive commercial real estate companies to try and be as human as possible because people will believe you a lot more.
Yeah. I also think this has something to do with like a trend that's where it's sort of started from everyone kind of being like raw and real, and then it's kind of been a fight to become like more designed and look good. Yeah. And now it's taking a bit of a bit of a curve now where people are appreciating more of that like realness. And it's
I agree. Like look at TikTok, right?
Yeah.
TikTok is all about being as underproduced as possible. Yeah. Like, it's about realness and fun and, honesty. I don't know honesty, but it's very far removed from, 10 years ago where we were shooting with massive light setups and like perfectly worded scripts. And today it's very, very real. And again, that's why influencer marketing is doing so well because that credibility is supposed to be there. And when brands started on social, 10, 12 years ago, it was very honest in a way. It didn't look like they're advertising on TV.
But
now it's going that.
Every video
it's becoming
is
that.
potentially a TV ad.
Exactly. And that sucks. So that's basically what we're trying to say. And I'm sorry that I went on a rant.
But that's also why we're feeling that way, is because we're seeing that
we're seeing it all everywhere.
And it's like a bit of a lag in all that.
I'm a bit unhappy today.
Yeah. I mean, we're hard to be bothered.
It's the hot.
Yeah.
They know they are beers.
I mean, these are warm beers. Yeah.
I'm not happy.
But, alas, we digress.
Did you see that camel earlier?
Yeah.
Did you see what it was doing? Did you see what it was doing?
The one with the humps.
Yes. They do have humps.
I
know we drank a lot earlier, but they do have humps.
Yeah.
It was doing something that was pretty hectic. We won't mention what it was doing. There was another camel involved. I didn't know camels did that.
I don't know what sort of coitus they were getting up to, but yeah. It's a long video.
I know. Sorry about this. Really apologize. Okay, what are we gonna like? We can't really score this content.
We're rating them overall.
We rate them overall. Like, I'm giving them a 6.
Yeah.
Because they try really hard to talk about the right things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're just missing the mark, I think, in a lot of ways. And it's not to say that they can do it or it's easy to do that in a different way, but we're here trying to make content in this industry.
And we have to think about these things.
We do.
Even down to the point where we think about certain special holidays and like, should we comment on these things?
Exactly.
You have to think about all of these little things. Like, should you comment on it? So I'm going to give them a 6.3.
Yeah.
I see the effort. I appreciate the design work that goes into it. But
there's a human being on the other side.
There is a human being,
but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 6.1. I don't even know if it gets over the 6s, but I'll be nice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's Friday. Be nice.
Okay. Moral of the content is try to be as human as possible. Like, it really makes a big difference to the people that see your content.
Yeah.
Sorry it was such a serious video. It was serious.
That was very serious. I feel like a bit weird. I need to loosen up.
Well, we can go look at those camels again.
Yeah, let's go.
Cool. That's a review.
See you guys
later.
Cheers.
Ciao. God, I'm taking this shit off.